Hey guys, welcome back. I hope everyone's doing well today. It's actually evening. I just figured I'd do this video because it's something that's been on my mind for a while, but it's like recently when I'm listening to the radio or just songs I look up on YouTube or whatever. It's really strange that like instead of me just singing along because I love that song or the beat to the music. Instead, it's like I'm actually hearing the story that they're telling, like the words, like what is it meaning? And it like really got me to think like, you know, things in life, they tell us what is what, right? There's so many songs that tell us that people have sold their soul off to have fame, right? That they've contracted their self out to that. Celebrities have told us that. I remember, gosh, I wish I could remember what celebrity it was. It was an older guy, okay? He's in a rock band. He's been around for eons, right? We all probably know the band. But in the interview, the person interviewing asked this celebrity, like, man, you have made so much money. You've been around for like decades, right? Why still tour? Why still, go out and do that? You know that, you have fans all over, basically like, no offense, but, the guy's career, he should just, call it quits. Not in a bad way, but that's kind of what the interview was leaning towards, right? Like, why are you still out doing this? And the celebrity, the person from the band said, well, when you sell your soul off, the work for the devil never ends, right? And he was so calm about it. He was so direct. He was just so honest about it, and that right there, I remember that interview, like watching it, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. He's like probably an old dog that sold his soul off years ago, decades ago. And he's like, who cares at this point if he talks about it, right? That's all he said. He didn't go into any more depth. That's all he said was just that specific sentence that, you know, the work is never done when you sell your soul. So it's like, everything around us tells us exactly what life is or what it could be or what could happen, so pay attention to that. People don't sing songs with specific messages for no reason. Okay, that's either something they've went through themselves as an experience, and maybe regretful at this point, so therefore they put it in song so other people can understand that. you know um it's just really hard to say. The earthly world, okay, the earthly life is basically, they say we're up like against spirits, that's true, right? You can't see that. I feel like if people could see that world, they would be walking around like terrified all day if they could actually see what's around them at all times, right? Because a spirit can harvest, a spirit can be embodied within somebody, right? I mean, just think about it. Everything you do is a contract here, right? When you have an intimate relationship with someone, that's a contract, okay? When you make a deal, have like fame and fortune, right? That's also a contract. When you get actually married, that's a contract. When you do specific things, it is a contract, okay? And you may not sign anything, but it is a contract, right? Because we really are just humans having an experience, right? We're all spirits. Our soul is a spirit. That's you, right? That's your being. And I was just thinking, like, listening to these songs recently, like, my gosh, I love Metallica. It's been like my favorite band since I was a teenager. I don't know why, but like somehow when that comes on and I had to play every instrument under the sun, I it's kind of funny. Everyone does their air guitar and their drums, you know what I mean? It's just something about the beat to those songs. I've just always really liked it, and it just resonated something like with a lot of the words, especially the album that they have with the orchestra, the symphony. It's beautiful. But anyway, so a song came up this week and I was listening to it. It was that song One by Metallica. I'm sure everyone's heard it. But just listening to the words of that was making me feel like, oh my gosh, in a sense, he's like telling you, that he was stuck, right? Like he wanted to die but couldn't. You know, what he sold himself to, right? That spiritual contract, it was basically taking over his thoughts, his vision, his words, his body, everything. Because when you contract your soul out, you no longer have the free will of that movement, right? That thing drives you, right? Like it could drive you. I'm just saying, like, think of it. It could be many of things. It could be a drug addiction. It could be, sexuality or something. But, if you just think about it, whatever that spirit is, right, that's inside will be driving your urges and driving what you're supposed to be, like, with that contract, right? If you are contracted out for fortune and fame, then obviously, like that older guy said in the band, you would have to continuously work, right? You're like a workhorse for the devil. You got your end of the bargain because you were famous all those years and made money and people knew you. But then what you have to do is uphold that, right? As that singer was saying, and he had to continuously go on tour, right? Like his job was never done because he got what he wanted, and he's decades later holding up that end of the bargain, right? It's really scary, actually. That's kind of what this whole world is. It's just like trying to get you to contract your soul out, right? Now, how do you get back from that? I don't know, man. God is above all. So if he wants to get somebody out of that, he can. Just know that. But that would take pure honesty, trust, and loyalty to God in order for that to happen, if you were to remove someone from that. But it is possible, right? But usually when someone makes a deal like that, they are consciously aware of what that is, right? I mean, you have to know what you're doing at that point in order to give something up like that, and to be a free agent in life, right, for yourself, so that you're not under the demands of something spiritual. Then the best thing is to keep everything internal. Don't contract yourself out. If you work for God, then you are a free agent, right? Like God is your boss, and he's never going to sell you short, or, you don't have to pay up, right? Like that's what the devil does. He'll give you something, but then you have to pay up, right? If you can't pay up, well, that's your life. But God doesn't work like that, right? He already knows what you need or what you should do. So he waits for you to come to him. Because usually when you come to him, that's when you're ready to give in or surrender or believe or start that relationship, God wants you to do the right thing. And yeah, that path can be a little bit longer, right? If someone's trying to get to fame and fortune, it may take them longer when they don't sell themselves off, okay? But if you have the real talent and skill, then you will be famous, right? It doesn't matter what you didn't do that everyone else did. This world is spiritual, okay? Whether they tell us that or not, like everybody has a spirit inside their body, in their vessel. That's their soul. Like my spirit, that's me. My bubbly self, right? Like my soul, wisdom, knowledge, my love, everything, right? That's me. You see that through someone's eyes. That's why I was saying a long time ago on a video. Do you see a soul when you look in someone's eyes? Because if not, they may not have one, right? At that moment, it may be occupied, as a lot of the songs today tell us. And that's what I've written down a few little parts of the lyrics of the one song from Metallica. It says, darkness imprisoning me. It's all that I see. Absolute horror. I cannot live and I cannot die. Right? So he can't live with free will because he's contracted himself out. And he can't die because, you can't die. Your soul is already gone, in a sense, right? So crazy. That's why I just really wish there was like transparency and truth in this world, because a lot of the stuff I had to learn in my life by myself, right? Not from school, not from anyone else, not from church, right? It was like me just meditating and connecting with God that was telling me a lot of things that I would have never known, right? But it's a lot of stuff that the world should teach people, right? I feel like education for children should be revamped. There should be things included in that, right? There are life things that children should know, right? And be aware of or taught as they're younger to avoid a lot of the stuff that happens today. You know, the society we live in pushes people to, not be faithful and to be lustful and to like show all your skin and stuff. That's why I don't even like any of the music today. It's like, my gosh, do you hear what lyrics you're putting out there? Like, I'm sorry, but some of the stuff is just so like raunchy, you know? And I'm like really a conservative person. I've always been like that. And that is the total opposite of what people are idolizing today. It's like, I don't know, like, where did morals go in this world? You know, you should be teaching your kids to cover up, not to be showing everything, right? Because you're attracting the wrong eyes, first of all. People are mainly going to be looking at that, not who you are as a person, you know? You want someone to get to know you, not want to get to know you just because of everything that you're showing, you know? But that just shows, like, the value that society places on self. It's none, right? You know, they want you lustful and they want you out here doing all of these things and committing adultery because that is what another spiritual contract. Like every time you have an intimate relationship with someone, it's like a spiritual contract with them, you know? And that's really serious. I mean, there's like an energetic cord there, you know? Can you imagine, like, just think about it. People that have multiple partners, they have like 100 cords coming out of their body. No wonder why they're probably already, drained all their life. They're drained every day, or they don't have any energy. That's probably why, because your energy is being sucked out through all of those cords that, you had relationships with. So that's why I just say, like, pay attention to life because things tell us exactly what it is. Song lyrics, movies, just interviews, listening to people, they tell you what is what. You may not have experienced it before, so it may sound a little out there, but a lot of people do tell us things that happen in the industry. And I feel like the industry has just become evil itself. I mean, if you have to sell yourself to get into music or acting or whatever, I mean, what kind of industry is that anyway, right? You'll be like this solo bolo that didn't sell yourself out. You know what I mean? Like, would you really want to be around a bunch of demonic entities, right? Like, everywhere? I don't know. Yeah. But I think, like, me just realizing, like, my gosh, the answers are everywhere in life, Everywhere. They tell you it's on the news, it's on the TV, it's just actions, books, people do biographies. I mean, just like some of the craziest stuff that people can tell the truth of, and it may only be a sentence or two, but like it's so damning, right? So just pay attention, especially like when you're singing songs. Like, what really are you singing? You know what I mean? That's why I am really selective on like a lot of stuff. I've always been like that. I'm selective on movies I watch for sure, because what you feed yourself, visually, subliminally, auditory, that feeds you, right? So that just, feed yourself good stuff, right? Like happy stuff. I watch comedies a lot because I'd rather be cracking up than like scared shitless, like, oh my god, it's a scary show. You know what I mean? But yeah, just pay attention to what is around you or what you're listening to or what you're watching, and just be aware, right? It's so key. The people that have already went to the depths of contracting themselves out, in the industry, people that we've watched on TV and listened to on the radio for years, you know, they've already been there. So when they tell us those pieces of information, it's best to like listen to that or be like, wow, you know, it could happen to anyone, you know? I mean, anyone can want something bad enough, right? Where you could sell yourself out, and that's really unfortunate. No one should ever be at that spot. You should really be considering, like, why do I want this so bad, right? Maybe that should be the question you're asking if you're willing to basically give it free will, you know? Because when you allow a spirit like that inside, it literally is like stuck internally, right? And it drives your mental. It drives what you want, your thoughts. It drives your behaviors and actions and everything, right? I mean, anyone that has seen someone go through drug addiction, right? Then you almost can see like that person has like an evil spirit in there. Their morals go downhill, right? Their priorities and responsibilities, how they talk to you, everything changes, right? Like it's not even the same person, you know, and I'm sure everyone that has went through that can relate to that. Like you're almost like, where are you? I don't even know you anymore. And that's why. Is because that spirit has taken over them, right? It's driving what they want to do. Even though they may have been such a family person, but not when something else has taken over them, right? And that's why it's key to understand if someone is being embodied by a spirit that's driving them to do things they shouldn't, right? Everything in life tells us about this, right? It could be subliminal, it could just be in a song, right? But just pay attention to that stuff because if it can happen on that level, it can happen anywhere, right? The key is keep that connection with the God, with the Most High. Keep the connection with God, right? I mean, if anything, God will be like getting his sword out and chopping those people away. You'll never even have the chance to do anything like that, right? If you're on God's side. Plus, you'll be too awake to even be in that situation, you know? So, alright. I love you guys. Just a tidbit to keep in mind next time you're listening to the radio or watch